Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger weren't the only ones who started Berkshire Hathaway. It was started by 3 members. Who then is this mysterious third member, and why isn't he mentioned almost at all? We'll give an analysis of him a bit later. Retention of wealth has more to do with our mindset of money than the ability to accumulate money. So just because someone has the ability to make money, doesn't mean they have the ability to keep the money. Morgan Housel presents a different perspective to wealth retention, which is a practical soft skill he names the psychology of money. Let's summarize what the psychology is and how to apply it from his book, The Psychology of Money. Napoleon defined a military genius as the man who can do the average thing when everybody around him are going crazy. It's proven that if you invest only when there's an opportunity, like a recession, you'll make less profit than if you consistently invest no matter what happens. The average thing is consistently investing and compounding on your investment, while investing a big lump sum when there's an extraordinary occurrence might lead to big losses. A good example is Warren Buffett, who kept his investments for years and used compound interest and dividends to grow his wealth. He himself mentioned that he missed out of technology shares, but he still kept and grew his solid investments, notably in Coca-Cola shares. The conditions when you grow up have an impact on how you view money. For example, if the market crashed and stocks lost a lot of money when you grew up, then you might avoid buying stocks. You mustn't let your past influence your psychology of money. What you must do is to analyze the current profit yield of the investment type, rather than following what's hard printed in your mind without a basis. Don't be too hard on yourself for making mistakes with money. Many economic concepts are quite young. Take retirement for example. Official government retirement is less than 2 generations old. This goes to show that we are still learning a lot of things regarding money. The role of luck in monetary success. The author asked the Nobel Prize-winning economist Robert Shiller what he would like to know the most about investing that can't be fully known. The Nobel Prize winner said he wanted to know the exact role of luck in successful outcomes. Another economist, Bhaskar Mazumdar, rephrased mentioned that if you had a biological brother, and your brother is tall and rich, that you are more likely to be rich than to be tall. Siblings are likely to receive the same financial education and share educational resources. You don't choose your family, you choose your friends, as the phrase goes. So many people are lucky to be born in financially educated households. So luck plays a very big role in financial success, then it's credited. On the other side of the spectrum, unlucky investors, who were valiant in their attempts but went broke, are not celebrated enough. Bill Gates once hinted that success is a lousy teacher. A lousy teacher because it tricks smart people into overlooking the role of luck, which in turn makes them think they can't lose. Here's a lesson. Good character and frugality lead to wealth. Let's look at 2 very interesting stories to illustrate this. The author once worked in a hotel. He once met a technology executive who was rich. The executive always bragged about his wealth and flashed it in public. One day he damaged a lamp in the hotel's restaurant. The hotel manager told him it would cost the executive $500 to replace the lamp. The executive became insulted at the little amount which was asked of him, and gave the hotel manager $5,000, and told the manager not to insult him again. He flashed cash in public like this frequently. It didn't take too long until he was broke. His spending habits didn't allow him to keep his money. His bad attitude didn't allow him to keep good relations with people. Let's look at the second interesting story. There was a man named Ronald Reed. Ronald was a building caretaker and gas station attendant. He was the first high school graduate from his family. He came from a humble farming household. He died in 2014, aged 92. In his will, he left $2 million to his stepkids and donated $6 million to his local hospital and library. The community he grew in was extremely surprised that he had accumulated and retained so much money. He invested the little he had left per month for decades in stocks. How can someone without a tertiary education retain so much more money than someone who went to the best schools and had the best education? To answer this, let's first look at an example from names you know already. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are arguably two of the best investors of our time. What you probably don't know though, is that they started out as three members of an investment group. The third member's name was Rick Guerin. Here's Rick's story. In 2013, the Indian-American investor Monish Pabrai and his colleague paid $650,000 to a charity so they can have lunch with Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. During the lunch, Warren mentioned that Rick was as smart as both of them were. Warren and Charlie knew they would all become wealthy. However, Rick ended up selling his Berkshire Hathaway shares to Warren because he wanted to get wealthy quickly. Key takeaway from this story is that the difference between wealth and riches is that wealth takes time and riches can come quicker. Wealth then is more sustainable because it creates patience. What can we learn from Ronald Read, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger? Lesson 2: Patience builds and retains wealth. In terms of return percentages, Warren Buffett isn't the most successful investor. In terms of quantity though, he is. The main reason is that he stood the test of time. He let the magic of compound interest work in his favor. Envy can make you reckless. Have you ever tried calculating how much you need to live comfortably after retirement? If you make the calculation and come up with a figure, then you will have a target to work towards. This helps you to not risk what you have already, just for the pleasure of having more money than the next person.